Philadelphia Channel 4 and WBHF Radio bring you coverage of the state championship series from Calhoun High School today. It's an all-region 6AA affair as Cartersville and Calhoun will square off for the third and final time. This time, a best-of-3 series to decide who's the best team in the state of Georgia.
Well, Scott, we know we're going to find out who the best team is in the state, but I think we really know that the best two teams in the state are definitely the ones playing for it. A lot of times, teams that you think may be in the finals don't quite make it there, but these two teams, I think you'll have to agree, the cream of the crop. They've been both ranked near the top of the state rankings all year long, and we anticipated this way back in the beginning of the season that regardless of region player, who's going to be the region champion, these teams could very well end up in the state championship, and that's exactly what we've got.
Well, the Yellow Jackets and Canes meet for the third time right now. They've already met twice this season. Calhoun won game one 2-1 at Richard Bell Field. The Hurricanes pulled off the victory here at Calhoun 7-2. 3 weeks after that first game, and now they'll play for everything as we take a quick look at the starting lineups for the Yellow Jackets out in the field. Braden Reese will be in left, David Morse in center, and Justin Lee in right field. Chase Leatherwood will be at third base, Brandon Ashworth will be at shortstop, Whit Robbins will be playing second, and Charles Chastain will be at first. Matt Robbins will be catching behind the plate, and ace John Robbins is on the hill for the Yellow Jackets. Now for the Hurricanes, the top of their lineup is led by Russ Mitchell. He'll be followed by Scott Hendricks at second base, Nathan Gravely at third. Jody Fletcher will hit cleanup. Andy Hudson will hit in the 5 spot as the DH. He'll be hitting for Matt Hightower in left field. Josh Morris will hit 6th. Matt Montgomery will hit in the 7 spot. Will Startup will hit 8th, and Wes Ross rounds out the Hurricane hitters.
Will actually be John Robbins' third start against the Canes. You mentioned the game one meeting. He gives up 3 hits, struck out 10 on the way to a big 2-1 victory. Pitched up here in Calhoun, didn't have quite as much success. Went the distance, but gave up 12 hits and 7 runs, all of them earned, but still struck out 9. So in 14 innings of work, he has struck out 19 Cane batters and only walked 1. Here we go.
Well, the switch hitter Russ Mitchell leads things off, and he fouls the first pitch down the first base line, and the count goes to 0-1.
The left-handed hitting Mitchell really owned Robbins in game number 2 up here in Calhoun, went 3 for 3 and was also hit by a pitch.
Also had 7 putouts in that game, all from the shortstop position. Scott Hendricks waits on deck for the Hurricanes as Mitchell steps back in. The 0-1 count and the pitch from Robbins. That ball misses low and away, and the count evens at 1.
Very short field here. Wind is blowing in, but only 330 to center field. 310 down the right field line and 307 down the left field line.
The pitch by Robbins gets it on the inside corner for strike 2. 71 miles an hour on the gun that time for John Robbins. Robbins heads back up on the hill as Mitchell steps back in. The 1-2 count, the pitch way upstairs, and the count evens at 2. So Robbins heads back up on the hill. The count even at 2 for Russ Mitchell as he steps back in. No one out here, top half of the first, no score. The pitch, that one misses inside, and the count runs full.
Tried to get that low inside corner like he did for strike 2. That time just a little bit off, and we got a payoff catch here to the leadoff hitter, Mitchell.
Robbins with the payoff pitch, swung on, and that ball ripped into second base. Coming on to make the play is Whit Robbins. He picks it up and throws on to first in time, and he gets it. It's 4-3 in the book, and it's 1 up, 1 down for the Canes here on the top of the first, and that brings Scott Hendricks to the plate. Hendricks on fire right now, hitting .452 for the year with 10 home runs, 5 triples, and 11 doubles.
He also had a big game, too. The second time facing Robbins, going 2 for 4.
The pitch by Robbins. That one in there for a called strike, 0-1.
Nice breaking ball by Robbins. And his fastball, Scott, you were mentioning last week, clocked as high as 90.
The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled back to the fence, 0-2. So Scott Hendricks takes a practice swing and steps back in the box. 0-2 the count with 1 down here, top half of the first inning. No score here from Calhoun High School. John Robbins with the pitch, swung on, and that ball hit to short. Coming on to make the play is Braden Ashworth, and he bobbles it, and the Hurricanes have a base runner. It'll go E6, and the first charged error against the Yellow Jackets, and the Hurricanes have a runner aboard with 1 out. And now Nathan Gravely steps in the box. Second leading hitter on the team. He's got a .449 average with 6 home runs, 3 doubles, and Check that, 3 triples and 21 doubles. The right-hander Gravely steps in the box to face John Robbins. Hendricks takes a lead off first. The pitch, that one way inside, 1-0. Gravely steps back in. The stretch, the pitch, that one way upstairs, but he went around, and the count goes even at 1.
That ball was up and in. Gravely started to go and then kind of turned his body. But home plate umpire Jim Sneeden says he went around.
Robbins back up on the hill. Runner on first for the Canes takes a lead. That one misses high and inside, and the count goes to 2-1 on Nathan Gravely.
Robbins throwing extremely hard, but maybe trying to overthrow a little bit, having a little bit of trouble with the control early.
Robbins back up on the mound. Gravely steps in. The pitch swung on, and that ball hit to third. Coming on to make the play is Leatherwood. He throws to second. They try to turn 2, but not in time. So Scott Hendricks is out on the fielder's choice, and it's 2 in the books here in the top half of the first, and that brings Jody Fletcher to the box with 1 man on and 2 down.
Fletcher 2 for 3 in their last meeting, was also hit by a pitch and had an RBI.
So John Robbins steps back up on the hill as Fletcher steps in the box. 2 down, the pitch swung on and fouled back to the fence, 0-1.
Once again, a fastball that's up in the zone.
And if a Cartersville hitter gets a hold of one of these on this short park, it could be disaster for John Robbins. Robbins back up on the hill. Gravely taking a lead off first. The pitch, that one goes all the way back to the fence, and now Nathan Gravely goes to second. So on the pass ball, the Hurricanes now have the go-ahead run in scoring position with 2 outs here in the top of the first. The stretch, the pitch, that ball in the dirt. So Jody Fletcher steps back in. 2-1 the count with 2 down. Robbins back up on the hill. The pitch swung on, and that ball fouled out of the park, and the count goes even at 2 with 2 outs here in the top of the first. Still no score from Calhoun High School. You're listening to WBHF AM 1450 and watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. I'm Scott Singer along with Matt Santini in a packed house here at Calhoun High School. John Robbins back up on the hill. Fletcher steps in. The pitch swung on and missed. It's strike 3, and that'll do it for the Canes in the top of the first. They get it done on 1 error, a pass ball. They strand 1. We go to the bottom half of the first. No score from Calhoun High School. And welcome back to Calhoun High School. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week as we take a look at the Cartersville starters in the field. Matt Hightower will be out in left. Josh Morris will be in center, and Wes Ross will be in right field. In the infield, Nathan Gravely will have the honors at third. Russ Mitchell will play short. Scott Hendricks will be at second, and Jody Fletcher at first. Matt Montgomery will be behind the plate, and Will Startup will be on the hill. Startup has already seen the Yellow Jackets twice this year. He comes into this game 6-3 overall with a 1.03 ERA. He has struck out 72 batters through 61 innings of work this season. And he gets the nod today.
And he's been very sharp in his 2 previous starts against Calhoun. A combined total of 8 hits and 14 innings of work, striking out 11, only walking 3. And only giving up 1 earned run, and that was actually in the victory up here in Calhoun. If you're just joining us, we're going to the bottom half of the first inning. Cartersville failed to score in the top half.
So Braden Ashworth will lead things off for Calhoun. He'll be followed by David Morse, Whit Robbins, Matt Robbins, John Robbins, Brandon Reese, Chase Leatherwood, Charlie Christian, and Dustin Lee. The first pitch misses inside, 1-0. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled back, and the count goes even at 1. So Braden Ashworth steps back in the box with the count even at 1 and no one out here. Bottom half of the first inning, no score from Calhoun High School. Will start up back up on the hill, gets the sign from Montgomery. The stretch, the pitch, swung on, and that ball hit into center field, but coming on to make the play was Russ Mitchell, and he slides, trying to make the throw, and he hit a bad patch of grass out there. And Ashworth is aboard. So the Yellow Jackets have the leadoff man on. It'll be an error in the books, unfortunately, against Russ Mitchell. The pitch. That one misses high outside. They throw back to first, and the runner is safe. Fletcher thought he had him, as Ashworth slow to get back to the bag. So David Morse steps back in, another right-hander to face Will Startup. 1-0 the count, the pitch. That one he fouls off into the crowd, and the count goes even at 1. Startup going back up on the hill. Startup back up on the hill. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses high and outside. They throw back to first, and the runner is safe again. So Ashworth just getting back to the bag. Two and one the count. Startup back up on the hill. The pitch. He bunts that one down the third base line. Coming on to make the play is Gravely. They throw on to second in time, and they get the out. It'll be a fielder's choice as the Canes get the first out of the inning defensively here, and a great play by Nathan Gravely as he chopped down the third base line, grabbed it, and threw on to second. So now Whit Robbins steps in, hitting .600. He's a late addition to this team, out since football season with a torn rotator cuff. And now they're working on first base. The bag's slipping, I guess, and so Calhoun assistant coach Greg Green has come out to lend his expertise in this field as he'll put the first base bag back in. It's just a slight delay on the field as Will Startup tosses lightly with Nathan Gravely. And we've got one out here, bottom half of the first inning. No score from Calhoun High School. The Yellow Jackets have a base runner. Braden Ashworth reached on an error to start off the first inning. And then David Morse hit into the fielder's choice as he tried to bunt down the third base line. So a slight delay as Whit Robbins gets ready to step in. I think they've got the bag fixed. Jody Fletcher also helping out. They should have that thing repaired in no time. All right, so Will Startup heads back up on the hill with a runner aboard on first, and now Whit Robbins steps in with David Morse on first. Morse taking the lead off the bag. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled back to the fence. So that ball fouled back to the fence, and the count goes to 0-1. Whit Robbins steps back in. The stretch, the pitch by Startup. That one misses high and inside, and the count goes even at 1. Startup back up on the hill. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses high and away. 2-1. So Whit Robbins steps back in. 2-1 the count with one out. Startup with the pitch. Swung on, that ball hit deep into left field, coming on to make the play, and it's a foul ball. Matt Hightower was hurrying over there, but the ball in foul territory, and the count now goes even at 2. Fortunately, from my vantage point, when they go down that third base line, I can't see anything. So Will Startup steps back up on the hill. Runner aboard on first is David Morse. as Whit Robbins steps back in. The count even at 2. The stretch, the pitch by Startup, in there for a called strike 3, and he gets him looking. So Whit Robbins gets sat down here in the bottom half of the first inning. And that brings Matt Robbins to the plate, the starting catcher. And he'll step in with a runner aboard on first and 2 down. The stretch and the pitch, now he throws on back to first, and Morse goes back to the bag. 2 down here, bottom half of the first inning. Still no score from Calhoun High School, as Will Startup steps back up on the hill. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses high and away, 1-0. So Matt Robbins steps back in. Startup back up on the hill, shakes off the sign from Montgomery. Checks his runner at first. The pitch, swung on and fouled back to the fence, and the count goes even at 1. So Matt Robbins turning down the third base line to get the sign, and now he'll step in. Startup back up on the hill, gets the sign from Montgomery. Checks his runner at first. The pitch, swung on, and that ball fouled out of the park. And the count goes to 1-2. So Will Startup getting ahead in the count here. We'll step back up on the hill. Startup checks his runner at first. The stretch, the pitch, swung on, and that ball popped up. Jody Fletcher in foul territory gets the final out of the inning. And so the Jackets do it on an error. They strand 1. We go to the top half of the second. No score from Calhoun High School.
U.S. Industrial Supply Company, a world of nuts and bolts, specializing in cutting tools such as Champion, Stelram, and Baylax, and pneumatic fittings, such as Legree and Creuset. Call us for your cutting tools, fasteners, and pneumatic fitting needs at 770-382-6100 or 1-800-334-2755, located in Cartersville, Georgia.
And welcome back. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. This is coverage of the AA State Championship here in 2001. Calhoun looking for a repeat performance. They're the Single A champions from the year 2000. Cartersville looking to wear their first ever ring as the Hurricanes will step in the box here with the 5, 6, and 7 hitters. Andy Hudson, Josh Morris, and Matt Montgomery set to lead us off here in the top half of the second inning to face Yellow Jacket ace John Robbins. Robbins taking a few warm-up tosses, and we're just about ready to get things underway. Jim Sneeden, the home plate umpire, puts his mask back on, and we're just about ready to get things back underway here in the top half of the second. So Andy Hudson will step in to face John Robbins. Top half of the second, no score. Robbins on the hill gets the sign from Robbins. The pitch swung on. That ball ripped down the third baseline, in for a base hit, and the Hurricanes have the leadoff man aboard here in the top of the second as Andy Hudson goes to first base. So a leadoff single brings Josh Morris to the plate. Morris having a solid year. Leads the team in home runs with 11. Hitting .320 for the season. Morris steps in to face John Robbins. The pitch. He bunts it right down the third base line, and that ball's going to roll foul, and so the count goes to 0-1 on Josh Morris. Good looking bunt that time, just a few inches down, foul down that third base line. So Andy Hudson will come back to first, and the count goes to 0-1 with no one out on Josh Morris. So Morris steps in. The 0-1 count. The pitch. That one in there for a called strike, and it goes to 0-2. Morris steps back in. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled back to the fence, and the count remains 0-2 with no one out. Andy Hudson had a leadoff single here in the top of the second. He sits on first base. Josh Morris looks down the third base line, gets the call from Stuart Chester, and now steps in the box. John Robbins on the hill, the stretch, the pitch, swung on, and strike 3 call as he swings and misses. So Josh Morris goes down swinging, and that brings Matt Montgomery to the plate. Montgomery has been hot here in the postseason. 3 home runs for the Hurricanes. And now he'll face John Robbins. The pitch, swung on. That ball taken deep towards center field, but it's going to stay in the park as Braden Reese camps underneath it. And there's 2 away for the Hurricanes here in the top of the second, and that's going to bring Will Startup to the plate. Will Startup hit his only high school home run in this park off John Robbins when these two teams met for the second time back in the middle of April. So Startup steps in to face John Robbins. They throw on back to first, and Hudson is safe. 2 down here in the top half of the second. Still no score from Calhoun High School as John Robbins steps back up on the hill. Will Startup steps in. Lots of fans here today. The pitch swung on and fouled away. And the count goes to 0-1 on Will Startup. Startup were to get aboard. Wes Ross would be up next. Runner aboard on second with 2 outs. The pitch swung on. That ball taken deep towards center field. Going back toward the fence is David Morse, and that ball's gone. A 2-run shot for Will Startup, and the Hurricanes have struck first. He's only hit 2 out in his life, and they've both been on this field. Right in the same spot, over that center field fence. He took it over the mark at about 3:45, and the Hurricanes have drawn first blood. It's a 2-0 lead in the top half of the second. So 2 hits in the inning have garnered 2 runs for the Hurricanes, and with 2 outs here in the top of the second, Wes Ross comes in as the Hurricanes bring their 9-hitter to the plate. The stretch and the pitch by Robbins. Swung on and missed 0-1. So Wes Ross steps back in. Robbins on the hill. The pitch. That one misses away, and the count evens at 1. Now if Wes Ross were to get aboard, that would then bring Russ Mitchell to the plate. The pitch swung on and fouled back to the fence, 1-2. So John Robbins steps back up on the hill. Now trailing 2-0 as Wes Ross steps back in. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses outside, and the count goes even. Wes Ross steps back in. The pitch, and it gets him looking, but the Hurricanes get it done on 2 hits, and it was a big one by Will Startup as they put 2 across the board, and the Canes lead it 2-0 as we go to the bottom half of the second. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. And welcome back to Calhoun High School. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. This is the 2001 AA State Championship Series, game number 1, and the Hurricanes lead it 2-0, courtesy of a 2-run shot by the starting pitcher, Will Startup. And now John Robbins, Braden Reese, and Chase Leatherwood set to lead things off here in the bottom half of the second. Startup with the stretch, the pitch. That one misses low and away, 1-0. The Hurricanes came into this game 29-6 on the year. The Yellow Jackets 30-4. The stretch, the pitch, swung on, and that ball ripped into center field for a base hit. And John Robbins comes up with a leadoff single. So now Brandon Reese will step in, the starting left fielder. The Canes 6 losses. 2 of them came to Gainesville, 1 to Calhoun. They lost to Walton, they lost to Dade County, and then to Pace Academy in the opening round of the state playoffs. I'll tell you about Calhoun's losses in just a second. We'll start it back up on the hill. Gets the sign, the pitch. They try to bunt and foul, and he fouls it back toward the fence, and the count goes to 0-1. Calhoun losing this year to Dalton and Northwest Whitfield early in the season. Cartersville beat them, and then Banks County was their most recent loss in the second round of the state playoffs, which forced Game 3 in that series. Braden Reese steps back in. Start up on the hill, the stretch, the pitch. He squares around to bunt and fouls it back to the stop. 0-2 the count. So if Reese tries to bunt this time, he better get it down after fouling 2 away. So Reese steps in. Runner aboard on first. The count 0-2 with no one out here. Bottom half of the second, Canes up 2-0. Start up with the stretch. He throws on back to first. The ball gets loose from Jody Fletcher, and had it not gone out of his glove, the runner probably would have been out, as John Robbins late to get back to the bag. So Will Startup steps back up on the hill. The count 0-2. No one out here. Startup with the stretch. He throws on back to first again, and Robbins is there in time that time. So Reese steps back in. Startup back up on the hill. The count 0-2. The pitch. That one misses high and away, 1-2. So Brandon Reese steps back in. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and missed, and he goes down on strikes. So stepping to the box now is Chase Leatherwood. And Will Startup will step back up on the hill. Leatherwood steps in with one out here in the bottom of the second. Startup back up on the mound. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses inside, 1-0. Leatherwood looks down the third base line to head coach Chip Henderson, gets the sign and steps back in. Startup back up on the mound. Looks at Montgomery now with the pitch. That ball swung on, taken to right field. Wes Ross going back and camps underneath it. He throws on back to first and not in time. So there's 2 outs here in the bottom of the second now, and that brings Charlie Christian to the plate. Good play in right field by Wes Ross. And now Charlie Christian will step in for his first at bat today. Will Startup gets a little help from second base umpire William White as he comes in to help him rough up the ball. So Christian will step in. The stretch, the pitch. That one in there for a called strike, 0-1. So Christian steps back in. 0-1 the count with 2 down. The stretch, the pitch. That one in there for a called strike as well. And now the count goes to 0-2 on Charlie Christian. Startup back up on the mound. Christian stepping back in. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery. The stretch, the pitch, swung on, and that ball hit right back to the pitcher. He fields it, he throws on to first in time, and the Hurricanes, after yielding a hit, retire 3 in a row. As the Jackets do it on 1 hit, they strand 1. We go to the top half of the third. It's the Canes 2, the Jackets nothing. And welcome back to the AA State Championship Series, game number 1. Cartersville up 2-0. As Russ Mitchell will step in. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses high and inside, 1-0. Mitchell 0 for 1 today, grounded out to second to lead things off in the top of the first. Mitchell stepping back in to face Robbins. The pitch. That one in there for a called strike, and the count goes even at 1. Robbins steps back up on the hill. Gets the sign from Matt Robbins. The pitch. Swung on and missed. and the count goes to 1-2 on Russ Mitchell. Russ Mitchell stepping in, 1-2 the count. Robbins back up on the hill, the stretch, the pitch, swung on and missed. It's a drop 3 strike. It goes back toward the fence. They'll have to throw him out, and they get it in time. So it goes as a strikeout in the book, and that brings Scott Hendricks to the plate. Hendricks reached base on an error in the top half of the first and was later stranded. Scott Hendricks steps back in. Robbins with the pitch, swung on and missed, 0-1. Hendricks steps back in. The 0-1 count, the pitch. That one in there for a called strike, 0-2. So Hendricks steps back in. Robbins back up on the hill, the pitch. That one misses outside, 1-2. So Hendricks steps back in. Robbins back up on the hill. The count 1-2. The pitch. That one misses outside, and the count goes even. So after Hendricks fell behind 0-2 in the count, he has been pitched 2 straight balls. Robbins with the stretch. The pitch. Swung on and fouled away. That one out of play, and the count remains 2-2. Scott Hendricks looking down the line, gets the sign from Coach Chester, and will now step back in the box. The stretch and the pitch by Robbins. Swung on and missed. It's a drop 3 strike. They'll have to throw him out as well, and they do. So 2 up, 2 down for the Canes here in the third. And that brings Nathan Gravely to the plate. So Nathan Gravely reached base on a fielder's choice back in the first, then stole second. Actually reached second on a pass ball. The pitch, that one goes back toward the stop, 1-0. Very short backstop here at Calhoun High School. Prevents some of the running. As Nathan steps back in, 1-0 the count. The pitch by Robbins, swung on and fouled away. Gravely took a nice cut at that one, but teed it off into the woods. The count even at 1 with 2 outs here in the top half of the third. Canes leading it 2-0. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. The stretch and the pitch by Robbins. That one goes all the way back to the stop as well, 2-1. Nathan steps back in, the count 2-1. Robbins back up on the hill, the pitch. That one in there for a called strike, and that evens the count at 2. If Gravely were to get aboard, Jody Fletcher would step in. The count even at 2 with 2 outs. The stretch and the pitch. That one goes outside the strike zone and back toward the fence. So Matt Robbins having a tough time with the pitches. That's the third one in this at bat that has gone back toward the fence. The count run full now with 2 outs as Gravely steps in. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled away, and the count will remain full with 2 outs here in the top of the third. You can see the fans on the left side of your screen there. They have packed them in here at Calhoun. Fans all up and down the sides and along the outfield. Gravely will step in. Robbins with the stretch, the pitch, and he gets him looking. The Canes go 1-2-3 in the third as John Robbins retires the side. We go to the bottom half of the inning. It's Cartersville 2, Calhoun nothing. And welcome back to Calhoun High School. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. Canes leading it 2-0 as we go to the bottom half of the third inning. And set to lead us off here for the Jackets are the 9-1-2 hitters as Dustin Lee will come to the plate for his first at bat today. Lee, the starting right fielder, will step in. So Dustin Lee steps in the box to face Will Startup. Startup with a stretch, the pitch. That one misses high and away, 1-0. Lee steps back in, the stretch, the pitch. He squares around a bunt. And that one misses outside the strike zone, 2-0. Dustin Lee steps back in, 2-0 the count. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery, the stretch, the pitch. That one misses high and away, a 3-0 count now to the Lee. Startup back up on the hill, gets the sign from Montgomery as Lee steps back in. The 3-0 count, the pitch. That one in there for a called strike, 3-1. Lee was taken all the way that time. As Startup steps back on the hill. Lee back in the box, 3-1 the count. The stretch, the pitch. That one in there for a called strike as well, and the count runs full. Startup back up on the hill. The payoff pitch, swung on and fouled away. So Will Startup back up on the mound. The count full at 3-2, and he steps off. And he'd like the umpire to rough the ball up for him, so William White steps in, and he'll get that sucker dirty. And we'll have just a slight delay. Dustin Lee looks down the third base line to head coach Chip Henderson. He'll get that sign and he'll step back in. His Startup now has the ball back. You can see the amount of fans here at Calhoun High School today. It's the most I've ever seen at a high school baseball game. Startup back up on the hill. Gets the sign from Montgomery. The pitch. And he walks him. So Dustin Lee is aboard with a walk, and that brings Braden Ashworth to the plate. Ashworth 0 for 1 today, reached base on an error back in the bottom half of the first. 2-0 your score. Cartersville clinging to a 2-run lead. Startup gets the stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled away, 0-1. So Startup goes back up on the hill. The 0-1 count as Brandon Ashworth steps in. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery, and he steps off the hill. Startup back up on the hill. The pitch, swung on and fouled away. 0-2 the count to Ashworth. Ashworth will most likely be the starting pitcher in game number 2 of this series as he steps back in to face Will Startup. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery. The 0-2 count, the pitch. That one misses outside, 1-2. So Ashworth steps back in, Startup back up on the hill. The count 1-2. We're in the bottom half of the third. It's the Canes 2, the Jackets nothing. On first base is Dustin Lee. The pitch, that one in there for a called strike 3, and he gets him looking. So Braden Ashworth goes down on strikes, and that brings David Morse to the plate. He's 0 for 1, reached base on a fielder's choice back in the bottom half of the first. Startup steps back up on the hill. Gets the sign from Montgomery. The stretch, the pitch, swung on. That ball ripped into left field, going back toward the wall, and ball stays in, but that brings the runners to second and third. It's a double for David Morse. And now, with 1 out here in the bottom of the third, 2 runners move into scoring position for Whit Robbins. Whit Robbins, a strikeout victim back in the first inning, will now face Will Startup. That was a big double because it averts the double play ball. Now the Canes' only play will be to first base. should the ball stay in the infield. The pitch to Robbins, swung on, and that ball popped up into short left field rather, and coming on to make the play, and they drop it. It's in and out of the glove of Russ Mitchell. They'll act like they're going home, but Whit Robbins is aboard, and a run does come home. It'll be an RBI single. So that ball just a little blooper into left field. Russ Mitchell and Matt Hightower struggling with who was going to get that one. And it's now a 2-1 game. And that brings Matt Robbins to the plate. So we'll start up. Takes his time to go back up on the hill. And now Matt Robbins steps in. Startup gets the sign. The pitch swung on and missed 0-1. Startup back up on the hill. 0-1 the count as Robbins steps back in. Runners aboard on first and second. The pitch. That one misses inside, and the count goes even at 1. Will Startup back up on the mound. Runners aboard on first and second. Robbins steps back in. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and missed 1-2. So Matt Robbins steps back in. Runners aboard on first and second with 1 out, the count 1-2. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery, checks his runner at second. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled away. Robbins not getting around on it in time, and that one fouled out of the park. 1-2 the count with 1 down. Bottom half of the third inning, Cartersville leads it 2-1. Robbins steps back in, Startup back up on the hill. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery. And time is called. Matt Robbins thought he was taking too long and stepped out of the box. So with the 1-2 count, Robbins will step back in with 1 out here in the third. Startup with the pitch, swung on and fouled back to the fence. The count remains 1-2. Startup takes his time getting back up on the hill. The count 1-2 with 1 out as Robbins steps back in. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses low, and the fans not liking the call as the count goes even at 2. That one looked like it might have been in there. Robbins steps back in. The count even at 2. Startup on the hill. Gets the sign from Montgomery and steps back up on the block. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and missed, and he goes down on strikes. So Matt Robbins gets fanned, and that brings John Robbins to the plate. So John Robbins will step in with 2 down here in the third. The Canes can play the easiest base in the field. They've got forces at first, second, and third. John Robbins steps in, the stretch and the pitch by Startup. Swung on, that ball popped up, and calling off for it is Scott Hendricks. He'll camp underneath it, and that'll do it. So the Hurricanes escape the jam. The Jackets do it on 2 hits, 1 walk. They score 1 run in strand 2. We go to the top half of the And welcome back to Richard Bell Field. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week as Jody Fletcher, Andy Hudson, and Josh Morris set to lead it off here for the Canes. Top half of the fourth inning, they lead this one 2-1. The stretch and the pitch by Robbins. Swung on, that ball ripped to right field. It's back toward the fence and caught. Great play by Lee out in right field. So Dustin Lee comes away with the out. And Jody Fletcher got a stick on that one. So Andy Hudson will step in. He's 1 for 1 today, singled back in the second as he'll now face John Robbins with one out here in the top of the fourth. Hudson digging in, the pitch. That one misses outside, 1-0. So Hudson steps in. The pitch by Robbins swung on and fouled back to the fence, and the count now goes even at 1. One out here in the fourth, the 1-1 count, the pitch. And they say he went around 1-2. So Andy Hudson steps back out of the box, and now he'll step back in with the count 1-2 with one out here in the fourth. The stretch and the pitch by Robbins. That one in there for called strike 3, and he gets him looking. So Hudson goes down on strikes, and that brings Josh Morris to the plate. Morris, a strikeout victim in his first at bat back in the second inning. So Josh Morris will step in with 2 down here in the fourth. The stretch, the pitch. That one in there for a called strike, 0-1. Josh Morris steps back in. The pitch. That one misses low and away, and the count goes even at 1. You can feel that wind blowing, or you can actually hear it. Robbins with the stretch, the pitch. That one misses high and inside, and the count goes to 2-1 on Josh Morris. One out here, top half of the fourth inning. Canes leading it 2-1. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. The stretch and the pitch by Robbins swung on and fouled back to the fence, and the count goes even at 2. This is the AA State Championship Series, game number 1. It was an all-region 6 AA final this year. The Canes and Jackets have been battling it out all season for state supremacy, and this series will decide it. Morris steps back in. Robbins gets the sign. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled out of the park, and the count remains 2-2. So Morris steps back in. The count even at 2 with 2 outs here in the fourth. The stretch and the pitch by Robbins. That one in the dirt, and the count runs full. So Robbins will step back up on the hill. He gets the sign from the other Robbins. The payoff pitch, that ball in the dirt, and he walks him. So Morris is aboard, and that brings Matt Montgomery to the plate. That is the first walk issued today by the Calhoun ace. Only the second walk of the day issued by either pitcher. Matt Montgomery will now step in. Montgomery flew out to left field in his first at bat. The pitch. That one misses outside, 1-0. If Montgomery were to get aboard, Will Startup would step in. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled out of the park. The count even at 1. John Robbins back up on the hill. Would love to get the out here because he doesn't want to have to pitch to Will Startup again. The pitch, swung on, that ball ripped into right field, and it's down for a base hit, and the Hurricanes have 2 aboard. Josh Morris will hold up at second, and that brings the hot bat of Will Startup to the plate with a runner in scoring position and 2 outs here in the top of the fourth. So Matt Montgomery follows Josh Morris's walk with a single, and that brings Will Startup, who's 1 for 1 today with a home run. A 2 RBI shot back in the top of the second that gave the Canes their lead. A courtesy runner has now come in as Dave Williams will run for the catcher. Anytime in high school baseball when your pitcher or catcher get on base, you can have anyone not in the starting lineup run for them. And that's what Dave Williams will come in. Williams can then again be re-entered into the lineup sometime later in this game. So the left-hander, Will Startup, will step in. Last time he faced Robbins, he took one over the center field fence. Actually, the last 2 times he's faced Robbins, he's taken him over the center field fence. And he'll step back in. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled back to the fence, 0-1. So the 0-1 count to Will Startup, and John Robbins heads back up on the hill. If Startup were to get aboard, that would bring Wes Ross to the plate. The stretch, the pitch, that one misses high and away, 1-1. Tried to get him with the changeup that time, and he missed outside. The count even at 1 with 2 down here. Top half of the 4th. Canes with a runner in scoring position as Josh Morris takes the lead off second base. The pitch. That one in there for a called strike, 1-2. Startup didn't like the pitch, and now he steps back in with the count 1-2. The stretch and the pitch by Robbins. Swung on and missed, and he goes down on strike. So the Hurricanes get it done on a walk, 1 hit. They strand 2. We go to the bottom half of the 4th. It's Cartersville 2, Calhoun 1. And welcome back to Calhoun High School. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week on a very windy day in North Georgia. We'll start up on the hill for the Canes as we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. It's Cartersville 2, Calhoun 1. Due up for the Yellow Jackets are the 6, 7, and 8 hitters as Brandon Reese, Chase Leatherwood, and Charlie Christian will come to the plate. Reese 0 for 1 today, struck out swinging back in the 2nd. Reese will step in to face Will Startup. The stretch, the pitch, swung on. That ball ripped into left field and down for a base hit. Matt Hightower coming over to get it against the fence. And Reese will head for second. There will be no play, and it's a stand-up double. So Reese is in with a double, and the Yellow Jackets have the tying run in scoring position. So Chase Leatherwood will step in. He's 0 for 1 today, flew out to right field back in the 2nd inning. Leatherwood steps in to face Startup with no one out here in the 4th. The stretch, the pitch, that one in there for a called strike, 0-1. Leatherwood steps back in. The stretch, the pitch, swung on. That ball hit into the infield. Startup grabs it, now throws on to first in time, and they get the force out there, while Reese will stay stranded on second. So now Charlie Christian will step in the box. He grounded back to the pitcher in his first at bat, back in the 2nd inning. Christian steps in with 1 down here in the bottom of the 4th. And a runner in scoring position. Startup steps back up on the hill, gets the sign from Montgomery. Checks his runner, the pitch, that one in the dirt. The runner going toward third, Montgomery picks it up, and they're gonna hold him up there. So now the Jackets are 90 feet closer from tying this one up here in the bottom of the 4th. A fly ball from Christian would get it done. Started back up on the hill, the stretch, the pitch, swung on, that ball ripped into center field. Going back toward the fence is Morris. He fields it, the runner's gonna tag. We could have a play at the plate. Fletcher on the relay, and not in time. There was no play. A good run that time by Reese, and the Jackets have tied things at 2 here in the bottom of the 4th with 2 outs. So it's an RBI for Charlie Christian, and that brings Dustin Lee to the plate. Lee walked in his first at bat back in the third inning, and later scored a run. That pitch misses high and away, 1-0. So the Canes pick up their first error of the inning with the pass ball. The stretch, the pitch. That one in there for a called strike, and the count goes even at 1. Lee steps back in, the count even at 1 with 2 outs. Started back up on the hill, gets the sign from Montgomery. The stretch, the pitch, swung on, that ball hit into the right field. Wes Ross camps underneath it, calls for it, and makes the out. But the Jackets do it on 1 hit. They score 1 run. We're tied at 2 as we go to the top half of the 5th. You're watching the AA State Championship from Calhoun High School. And welcome back. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week as we go to the top half of the 5th as the 9-1-2 hitters set to lead us off here as Wes Ross steps in with the score tied at 2. The pitch from Robbins. That ball misses outside, 1-0. So Wes Ross steps back in. The count 1-0. The stretch and the pitch by Robbins. Swung on and fouled away, and the count goes even. Wes Ross steps out. Now he steps back in the batter's box with the count even at 1 and no one out. The pitch by Robbins, swung on and missed 1-2. Robbins threw it right by him that time. Wes Ross steps back in. The count 1-2. The pitch swung on and missed, and he goes down on strikes. So Wes Ross strikes out, and that brings the top of the order to the plate as Russ Mitchell will step in. The switch hitter goes from the left side of the box. The pitch, swung on and fouled back to the fence, and the count goes to 0-1. Mitchell 0 for 2 today, grounded out to second, and then struck out swinging back in the third. We'll see what he can do right here against John Robbins. Mitchell steps back in. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses inside, and the count goes even at 1. Calhoun fans not liking that call. Count even at 1. The stretch, the pitch. Swung on. That ball ripped into center field, but coming underneath it is David Morse. And now calling for it was Brandon Reese in left field, and that'll do it for Russ Mitchell. So 2 down for the Canes, and that brings Scott Hendricks to the plate. So Scott Hendricks will step in with 2 down. Hendricks 0 for 2 today, reached base on an error and then struck out. The first pitch swung on and missed, 0-1. Oh, John Robbins back up on the hill. Time is called as Hendricks was swinging the bat back and hit Matt Robbins in the glove. And the home plate umpire, Jim Sneeden, called time. So Robbins back up on the hill. The 0-1 count. That one in there for a called strike, 0-2. So Hendricks steps back in. The stretch, the pitch, swung on. That ball ripped into right field. Coming underneath it is Dustin Lee. He'll dive for it in foul territory, and it's a foul ball. Well hit ball that time by Scott Hendricks. But the wind is blowing straight in from right field. As Hendricks steps back in. The 0-2 count with 2 down. The stretch, the pitch. Swung on and missed, and he goes down on strikes, and the Hurricanes go in order in the 5th. We go to the bottom half of the inning. We're still tied at 2. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. Braden Ashworth stepping in to lead things off for the Yellow Jackets as he faces Will Startup. The first pitch in there for a called strike, 0-1. So Ashworth steps back out, now back in the box. Startup back up on the hill. The count 0-1. The stretch, the pitch, swung on, and that ball ripped into center field and down for a base hit. So Ashworth is aboard, and the go-ahead run is on base. So now David Morse will step in. Morse 1 for 2 today. Hit into a fielder's choice in the 1st and doubled in the 3rd. Will step in to face Will Startup. Morse doubled in his last at bat back in the 3rd inning. The pitch. That one in the dirt, 1-0. So David Morse steps back in. Startup back up on the hill. 1-0 the count. The pitch swung on, and that ball fouled away, and the count goes even at 1. You're listening to WBHF AM 1450 and watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. We're all tied up here, bottom half of the 5th inning. Score tied at 2. Calhoun at the plate with no one out as David Morse steps back in. The pitch. He bunts that one right back to the pitcher. He picks it up, throws on to second in time. They try to turn 2, and not in time. So it's a fielder's choice for David Morse. And that brings Whit Robbins to the plate with a runner aboard on 1st and 1 out. Whit Robbins 1 for 2 today. Struck out looking in the 1st and hit a little bloop single in the 3rd. He'll step back in. Startup gets the sign. The pitch. That one misses high and inside. 1-0. Startup steps back up on the hill. Morse takes the lead off first. The pitch. That one in there for a called strike, and the count goes even at 1. Good placement that time by Will Startup. And he'll step back up on the hill. The count even at 1 with 1 down. Robbins steps back in. The stretch, the pitch, swung on. That ball ripped into right field, but Wes Ross is there to make the easy out. 2 away here in the 5th, and that brings Matt Robbins to the plate. Matt Robbins 0 for 2 today. Popped up to 1st and then struck out swinging. He'll step in. The face Startup for the 3rd time with 2 outs and a runner aboard on 1st base. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery. The stretch, the pitch, swung on. That ball fouled out of play, and the count will go to 0-1. Hurricanes chasing it toward the fence, but it really won't matter. That one, no question, it was out of the way. 0-1. Startup taking his time going back up on the hill, and now he'll go back up there. 0-1 the count as Matt Robbins steps in. The stretch, the pitch, swung on, and that ball fouled down the 3rd base line. Nathan Gravely came on to field it, but it was a foul ball, and the count goes to 0-2. So Matt Robbins will step back in. Oh, 0-2 the count. Robbins digs in. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses outside, 1-2. So Matt Robbins stepping back in. Startup back up on the hill. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses inside, and the count goes even at 2. Startup back up on the mound. The count even at 2 with 2 outs here in the 5th. Robbins steps back in. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery. The count even at 2. The stretch, the pitch. That one missing outside. That runs the count full. And now Startup heads back up on the hill. Robbins steps back in. Startup back up on the mound. 2 down here in the 5th. The payoff pitch. Swung on and missed, and he goes down on strikes. So the Hurricanes get out of the jam. The Jackets do it on 1 hit. They strand 1. We go to the top half of the 6th. We're still tied at 2. And welcome back to Calhoun High School. You're watching coverage of this year's AA State Championship as we go to the top half of the 6th inning. And the Hurricanes will step in the box as their 3, 4, and 5 hitters will step in. Nathan Gravely set to lead things off for the Canes. Gravely 0 for 2 today. Hit into a fielder's choice and struck out looking. So he may be due. He'll step in to face Robbins. The stretch and the pitch. That one misses outside. 1-0 to Nathan Gravely. Gravely steps back in. Robbins back up on the hill. The count 1-0. The pitch. That one in the dirt as well. 2-0 to Nathan Gravely. So Robbins misses twice. And now Gravely ahead in the count 2-0 will step back in. The pitch. Swung on. That ball ripped toward left field. Going back to the fence. And it's gone. A solo shot for Nathan Gravely, and the Hurricanes have retaken the lead. It's a 3-2 game here in the top half of the 6th. And the Canes have taken the lead here. Top half of the 6th inning. A solo shot by Nathan Gravely, and now the Canes bring the heart of their lineup to the plate with no one out to face John Robbins. So Jody Fletcher will now step in. That's the 2nd dinger of the day for the Hurricane Arsenal against Robbins. The stretch, the pitch, swung on. That ball ripped toward center field. It's going back toward the fence, but it's going to stay in the park. Camping underneath it was Braden Reese. So that brings Andy Hudson in. He's 1 for 2 today, singled back in the 2nd, struck out looking in the 4th. So with 1 out here in the top of the 6th, Canes leading at 3-2. Andy Hudson will step in to face John Robbins. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and missed 0-1. So Hudson steps back in. The 0-1 count, the pitch, swung on and missed 0-2. Good breaking ball that time by John Robbins. And Hudson steps out of the box. Home plate umpire Jim Sneeden comes over to wipe off the plate. And we're ready to get things back underway. The 0-2 count with 1 out here, top of the 6th. The stretch and the pitch to Hudson. Swung on and missed, and he goes down on 3 straight pitches. That's going to bring Josh Morris to the plate. Morris 0 for 1 today. Struck out swinging back in the 2nd and then walked back in the 4th. With 2 outs here in the 6th, Morris steps in to face John Robbins. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled away. The count goes to 0-1 on Josh Morris. Morris steps back in. The count 0-1. The stretch and the pitch by Robbins. That one on the outside corner of the strike zone, 0-2. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled away. The count will remain 0-2. 2 down here in the top half of the 6th inning. And Robbins steps back up on the hill. Morris stepping back in the box. The stretch, the pitch, that one misses outside, 1-2. So Morris steps back in. Robbins back up on the hill, gets the sign from the other Robbins. The pitch, swung on. That ball ripped toward left field, going back toward the fence. And it's gone. A solo shot for Josh Morris, and the Hurricanes are on the board again. What a blast that time over the left field wall, and the Hurricanes have done it again. They grab a little insurance, and it's a 4-2 lead. The second home run of the inning, and that's going to bring Matt Montgomery to the plate. So Robbins makes a mistake, leaves a pitch high up in the strike zone, and Josh Morris makes him pay. Morris comes away with his 12th home run of the season. The pitch. That one in there for a called strike, 0-1 to Matt Montgomery. Josh Morris now takes a 2-home run lead on the team. The pitch. That one goes back to the fence, and the count goes even at 1. If Montgomery were to get aboard, that would bring the hot bat of Will Startup to the plate. With the count even at 1, Matt Montgomery steps back in. Now remember, he's got home run power as well. The pitch, swung on. That ball ripped down the right field line and in for a base hit. And the Canes are starting to get to John Robbins. So with 2 outs here in the 6th, Will Startup steps in the box. And that's going to bring Dave Williams in as the courtesy runner for Matt Montgomery. Wes Ross waits on deck as Startup will step in. 3 hits in this inning for the Canes against John Robbins. Robbins on the hill, gets the sign, the pitch, swung on. That ball hit into the infield, and it's going to go right through, but not in time. They're going to come on and make the play at first, but the Hurricanes get it done on 3 hits. They scored 2 runs. We go to the bottom half of the 6th. It's now Cartersville 4, Calhoun 2. And welcome back. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week as we go to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Hurricanes with a big inning in the top half. They scored 2 off 3 hits, and they have a 4-2 lead as John Robbins, Brandon Reese, and Chase Leatherwood set to lead us off as the 5, 6, and 7 hitters come to the plate. John Robbins, 1 for 2 today, singled in the 2nd and flew out to 2nd in the 3rd. Robbins steps in, the stretch, the pitch. That one in there, no. 1-0. Looked like strike 1 from here, but it's a 1-0 count. Robbins steps back in. Startup with the stretch, the pitch. Swung on, that ball popped up. Coming underneath it in right field is Wes Ross. He's gonna have to go on the run. He calls everyone off, and now Scott Hendricks calls for it. Good teamwork for the Canes defensively, and now they're 5 outs away. So Brandon Reese will step in. Reese is 1 for 2 today, doubled back in the 4th, advanced to 3rd on a pass ball, and later scored. Startup with the stretch, the pitch. That one misses high and inside, 1-0. So Will Startup goes back up on the mound. 1 out here in the 6th. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled back. The count even at 1. Will Startup wants to change the balls out. He'll throw it into Matt Montgomery, and the home plate umpire, Jim Sneeden, will give him a new one. The umpires for today's game from the West Georgia Umpires Association out of Carrollton. James Gordon working the first base line, and Richard Gentry on 3rd. The pitch by Startup, swung on. That ball hit right to 3rd. Coming on to make the play is Gravely. He fields it, throws on to 1st in time. And the Canes have retired 2 here in the 6th. Tough catch that time for Jody Fletcher, but he jumps up, makes it, and gets back on the bag in time. And that brings Chase Leatherwood to the plate. Leatherwood 0 for 2 today, flew out to right field and grounded back to the pitcher. Leatherwood steps in with 2 outs here in the 6th. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery. The stretch, the pitch, swung on. That ball popped up in foul territory. Wes Ross on the run, and it'll be out of play. 0-1 the count as Leatherwood comes back to the plate. Startup changes out balls again. And it's now an 0-1 count to Chase Leatherwood. Leatherwood steps back in. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery. The stretch, the pitch, that one high and away. Count goes even at 1. Chase Leatherwood steps back in. Startup back up on the hill. Gets the sign from Montgomery. The pitch. That one way inside, and the count goes to 2-1. Leatherwood turns down the third base line to get the call from head coach Chip Henderson. Startup will step back up on the mound. He gets the sign from Montgomery. The stretch, the pitch, swung on, and that ball ripped right to second. Scott Hendricks makes the out, and the Hurricanes are 3 outs away. They lead it 4-2 as we go to the bottom or top half of the 7th. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. And welcome back. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week as we go to the top half of the 7th. Hurricanes looking for some insurance, and they'll lead it off with their 9-hitter, Wes Ross. And then it's back to the top of the order to face John Robbins. Robbins on the hill, gets the sign from Matt Robbins. The pitch swung on and missed 0-1. He fouled that one back to him. Still the same result, an 0-1 count. Top half of the 7th inning. Canes leading it 4-2. Robbins steps back up on the hill. Wes Ross steps in. The stretch, the pitch. That one in there for a called strike. 0-2 to Wes Ross. Wes Ross 0 for 2 today as he steps back in. The count 0-2 as well. The pitch. That one in there for a called strike 3, and he gets him looking. Twelfth strikeout of the day for John Robbins, and he steps back up on the hill. And now the switch hitter, Russ Mitchell, steps in. He's 0 for 3 today, and he is due. First pitch in there for a called strike, 0-1. The 0-1 count to Russ Mitchell as he steps in. The stretch and the pitch by Robbins. That one at his feet and back toward the fence. Almost hit him. And the count goes even on Mitchell. 1-1. One out here in the 7th. Mitchell steps back in. Robbins on the hill. The stretch, the pitch, swung on. That ball hit down the first base line, but coming on to make the play is Charles Chastain. He steps on the bag, and it'll be 3 unassisted. And that's going to bring Scott Hendricks in with 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Hendricks 0 for 3 today. He's due as well. He reached on an error in the first, struck out swinging in the 3rd, struck out swinging in the 5th. The stretch, the pitch, swung on. That ball drilled down the first base line and in for a base hit. So that ball will roll, and Hendricks will hold up at first, and now Nathan Gravely, who left the park the last time he stepped in the box, will come in with a runner aboard. If Gravely can repeat his performance from the 6th inning, the Hurricanes would blow this one wide open with a 4-run lead. Hendricks takes the lead off first with 2 outs here in the 7th. And now Nathan Gravely will come in to face John Robbins. Robbins gets the sign, the pitch. That one in there for a called strike, 0-1 to Nathan Gravely. Gravely would get aboard, Jody Fletcher would step in. The pitch, that one misses outside, and the count goes even at 1. Top half of the 7th inning, you're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. It's been a relatively quick one. About an hour and a half of playing time. The pitch, that one in the dirt, 2-1 to Nathan Gravely. So Gravely steps back in, Robbins back up on the hill. Hendricks taking a lead off first. 2-1 your score. The pitch, that one in there for a called strike, and the count goes even at 2. Gravely steps back in. The pitch, swung on, and he goes down on strikes. The Hurricanes do it on one hit. They strand one. They're 3 outs away as we go to the bottom half of the 7th. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. And welcome back to Calhoun High School as we go to the bottom half of the 7th. Hurricanes leading it 4-2. And Charlie Christian will step in. He's 0 for 2 today. The stretch and the pitch by Startup. That one in there for a called strike, 0-1. So Startup steps back up on the hill. Startup gets the sign from Montgomery. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses high and away, and the count goes even at 1. Startup back up on the mound. The count even at 1 with no one out. Bottom half of the 7th. The pitch by Startup. Swung on. That ball hit into the infield. Coming on to make the play is Fletcher. He grabs it, throws on to first, and they get the force. 1 out in the 7th. Great play defensively that time by the Canes. It'll go 3-1 in the book, and that brings Dustin Lee to the plate. He's 0 for 1 today. Flew out to right field and walked. So the 5'7", 125-pound sophomore will step in to face Startup. The pitch in there for a called strike. He was taken all the way that time, 0-1. That ball was in the catcher's mitt before Lee could even take his bat off his shoulder. 0-1 the count, the stretch. The pitch by Startup, that one high and away, and the count goes even at 1. Lee will step back in. Startup back up on the hill. The count even at 1 with 1 out. The stretch, the pitch. That one misses low and away, and the count goes to 2-1. Startup steps back up on the mound. The count 2-1 with 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Lee steps back in. The pitch by Startup. That one high and away, 3-1. Nathan Gravely comes over to settle down his starting pitcher. 3-1 the count with 1 out here in the 7th. Will steps in. The stretch, the pitch. That one in there for a called strike, and the count is run full. Dustin Lee steps back in the box. The count full with 1 out. The stretch, the pitch by Startup, swung on and fouled back. The count will remain full with 1 out. Bottom half of the 7th inning. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. This is game number 1 of a best-of-3 series that will decide this year's AA state champion. Will Startup steps back up on the hill. Lee back in the box. The payoff pitch. In there for a called strike 3, and he gets him looking. And that's going to bring Braden Ashworth to the plate, as the Canes are just 1 out away from taking a 1-0 lead in this series. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and fouled away. 0-1 the count. Ashworth steps back in. Startup back up on the hill, shakes off the sign, takes the second. The stretch, the pitch, swung on and missed, 0-2. The Canes are now 1 strike away as Startup will head back up on the hill. Ashworth steps back in, Startup on the hill, the 0-2 count, the stretch, the pitch, swung on, and that ball ripped to second. Coming on to make the play is Hendricks. He fields it, throws back to first in time, and the Hurricanes have taken game 1. What a win, 4-2 for the Hurricanes, and they lead this series 1-0. And now The Canes will take a quick break for about a half hour, lace it up, and we'll play game number 2 of this best-of-3 matchup for the AA State Championship. The Hurricanes claim game number 1, 4-2 your final. We'll take a 2-minute break while we break it all down here from Calhoun High School. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week. And welcome back to Calhoun High School. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week as the Hurricanes pull off the victory, the final 4-2 in game number 1 of this series, as the Canes improved to 30-6 on the year, and the Yellow Jackets, they fall to 30-5. Getting the win on the hill was Will Startup. He went the distance, facing 28 batters, gave up 5 hits, 2 runs. One of them was earned. He had 1 walk, and he struck out 7. Taking the loss was John Robbins. He went 7 innings, faced 30 batters, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs. They were all earned. He had 1 walk and 13 strikeouts. For the Hurricanes offensively, Russ Mitchell was 0 for 4. Scott Hendricks 1 for 4, also reached base on an error. Nathan Gravely was 1 for 4 with his 7th home run of the year. Jody Fletcher was 0 for 3. Andy Hudson 1 for 3. Josh Morris 1 for 2 with his 12th home run of the year, also reached base on a walk. Matt Montgomery was 2 for 3. Will Startup went 1 for 3 with his 2nd home run of the year. It was a 2 RBI shot as the Hurricanes score 4 runs and win this one 4-2. For Calhoun, Braden Ashworth was 1 for 4, reached base on an error. David Morse 1 for 3. Whit Robbins 1 for 3 with an RBI. Matt Robbins 0 for 3. John Robbins 1 for 3. Brandon Reese 1 for 3. Chase Leatherwood 0 for 3. Charlie Christian 0 for 3. And Dustin Lee 0 for 2 with a walk as the Hurricanes now lead this series 1-0. We'll play game number 2 in just a few minutes after we take a quick break. You're watching the Channel 4 High School Baseball Game of the Week and listening to WBHF AM 1450.